Well, first of all, nothing says Happy Black History Month like firing only the second black person to serve as the top general of the United States because you're over that whole diversity thing. Joint Chiefs Chairman Charles Q. Brown was fired on the same day he visited the southern border. Apparently, that was not enough to counter a crusade by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth to rid the military of so-called woke leaders. In the announcement, President Trump did call General Brown an outstanding leader, so that's something. It tracks, though, since Brown was first promoted to Chief of the Air Force by Trump, but that was first term. Well, now DEI is being used as a cudgel to end everything from careers to federal funding. There is some pushback in the courts. Last night, a federal judge put a hold on the Trump administration's ability to freeze or cancel equity-related federal contracts. The Trump administration issued the order on its first day in office. U.S. District Judge Adam Abelson writes that they are unlikely constitutional and they are content and viewpoint-based restrictions that chill speech as to anyone the government might conceivably choose to accuse of engaging in speech or equity, a speech about equity or diversity or DEI. Also this week, civil rights groups, including the NAACP, filed their own lawsuit challenging Trump executive orders over DEI. So let's bring in now the president and CEO of the NAACP, Derrick Johnson. He's joining us from Los Angeles, the site of tonight's Image Awards. Derrick, thank you for being with me. The NAACP Legal Defense Fund, several other organizations suing the administration. You say the DEI executive orders violate the First and Fifth Amendments and that they intentionally discriminate against black and trans people. What's your reaction to this pause order?
Well, I think it's the right decision. What we are witnessing now is anything that's black, brown, gender, or this administration, they just simply don't like. They label it DEI without a clear description of what it is while they're doing it. For me, it feels as if the very things to prevent discrimination, the very things to ensure that the most talented individuals are part of providing the necessary support, guidance, and expertise for agencies is being used to root people out. It's almost as if we are in the 1800s and we're looking at, the concept of separate but equal. It's all unconstitutional and unnecessary.
Speaking of the 1800s, this week the Agriculture Department suspended the 1890 scholarship program that provides full tuition, fees, books, room and board to students who attend the 19 historically black universities created by the 1890 land grants. They were created in the early 90s, the George H.W. Bush administration. What do you think here is happening that they are suspending until further review these scholarships that students are now using to attend these 19 schools?
And the question is why? Why are we in this juncture in the history of the country? We are targeting programs they're not discriminating against anyone. In fact, it is working to reverse historic discrimination against the very institutions, individuals, communities that prevented those institutions, individuals, communities from fully engaging and participating in our society. If you think about many of the 1890 land grant schools, there were a substantial number of them that were created, never received their federal appropriation, denied the money from the states, although the states received the monies over decades, and they're going to target those very same institutions based on some theory that is harming other students or discriminating against other students. It is turning the concept of approaching a society that's more inclusive, more equitable, and reflecting the diversity that we have grown to become in a way in which people are trying to force us back into a 1930s or 1800s reality, and that we simply don't fit in that reality no more.
Should the administration expect a lawsuit from the NAACP about this? You sued on several different fronts, the Trump administration.
I think the administration is going to find resistance on all fronts. We are hoping that as the distraction of race, religion, and gender continue to be the strategy of this administration as they approach doing budgeting that's going to harm all Americans. You think about some of the recommendations that we're hearing is going to come forward. It is reducing Medicaid. Well, that's not a black or white issue. That's an issue of ensuring that all Americans receive quality health care. The reduction of programs that create not only a social safety net, but create safety in this country. We are concerned not only based on what this administration is doing around diversity, equity, inclusion. We're concerned with the use of race as a distraction to undermine the role of government. Public money should be used for public good, not for profits.
The NAACP has long called for more transparency in policing. There was a national law enforcement accountability database. Let me play something from one of its early supporters.
Under this executive order, departments will also need a share of information about credible abuses so that officers with significant issues do not simply move from one police department to the next. That's a problem.
That was Trump in 2020. Now that database has been shut down by Trump in his second term. He actually created it and then got rid of it. What do you see, Derrick, is the difference between first term, second term on this issue? That's something he called for and created after the killing of the murder of George Floyd. He now, his Department of Justice, gets rid of all the data.
Well, having a national database is absolutely critical to ensure bad actors who find themselves as law enforcement officers are not able to jump from agency to agency, something that we have long advocated for. Quite frankly, we are witnessing a redefinition around the role of government. And that's not a race issue. Race is the tool being used. We have to be careful as all Americans that this redefinition of the role of government isn't used to harm not only our civil liberties, but our ability to be a safe nation. And I'm frankly, like most people, we are shocked by this approach, but not surprised by this approach.
Derrick Johnson, president of the NAACP, thank you so much for being with us and enjoy the Image Awards tonight.
Thank you.